Okay, folks, I have got some exciting news to share with you about your final project. Before I do that, though, I would like to take an opportunity to have a teachable moment with you. And actually, this particular teaching I'm going to do will lead directly into the exciting news and actually provide a rationale for this news itself. So I want to talk about a type of research that we're not studying a lot, but that is used a lot and might actually be on the NCE, and that is action research. So if you've never heard of action research, here's what it is in a nutshell. You've got a process, whatever that process is. It might be a program, it might be a time-limited initiative. But what you're doing with action research is you're examining the process as it's happening. So you're collecting data, taking assessments at different time points throughout the process in an effort to understand how the process is working. Now, what makes this different from other types of research is with action research, the goal is actually to make changes while the process is going on, so that as the participants or whoever it is you're studying are experiencing what you're studying, you can make changes to make it better based on the data that you're getting throughout the process. And I really like that. I've engaged in that once or twice before and have published an article on some action research. Okay, so the reason I tell you that is as I go through a new process with my students, I am observing how you're experiencing it, how the environment is either influencing it or not, and then I decide whether to make changes or not. So it's not a formal action research plan, but you're experiencing something new that I'm trying this year for you, and that's this needs assessment process. So I have decided to make a few changes based on some of the informal data that I'm getting, one of which primarily is the time that the IRB is taking. For a couple of your groups, the IRB wants to dig in a little bit further to examine your applications. They feel like you might have some vulnerable populations. I'm working with them to try to maximize that, but they're taking a little bit longer. So I want to streamline this a little bit and actually take away some of the work that you need to do. The number one thing that I want to take away and change is the program that I've asked you to create based on your data. So I actually don't want you to create a whole program. I'd like to kind of take that out, and instead what I'd like for you to do is, once you've analyzed your data, once you've gotten your interviews done and you've done a narrative analysis, then I would like for when you have your presentation in our symposium at the end, I would just like for you to suggest particular programs that already exist that would help your population, whether they exist in the local area or not, particularly those that don't exist in the local area. You can just have some lists of potential programs, initiatives, groups, whatever that might be, interventions that would help the population based on your research. Okay, so that's going to take away a major chunk of work for you. You don't have to create something new. You don't have to build a program based on all those parameters that I had. I hope that's really helpful, and I think it'll still be meaningful to be able to present. Okay, the last piece that I want to say is and that's a yay, right? Hopefully that's a yay. You don't have to do that. The last piece that I'll say too is, and actually it's not the last piece, okay? I'm going along with this, all right? The next piece is in terms of writing a literature review. I'm not requiring you to do that. I'm not requiring you to submit an entire lit review to me. I did put a folder up there so that as you're kind of working through it, if you want some feedback, I'm happy to do that. But you're not required to submit a literature review to me. So that's another piece that hopefully is helpful for you. Obviously, you'll want to present a lot of the literature that you've already dug into on your presentation as a rationale for doing the study that you've done, but you don't have to write up, a 10-page lit review or whatever it might be. Okay, now the last piece is I have uploaded in the research articles folder of D2L a manuscript that I've just submitted for publication. So please don't distribute it anywhere because that could mess up copyright stuff. But what it is a narrative analysis that I have completed of a process. And so this gives you a chance to see what a narrative analysis really can look like. So read the article, maybe you'll even enjoy it. But particularly pay attention to the methodology. I followed a particular method of narrative analysis. It's a 7-step process. And for the most part, you're going to follow that too, except for probably steps 5 and 7. And that involves going back to the participants and having them read your narratives to make sure that they're accurate. So when you read that, you will see that I had 4 participants, and I actually created 4 different stories for each of them. And that's okay, but I think for what you're doing, because you're getting interviews from population and counselors, you're getting data from multiple places, what you can do is create one story as an example of what folks in the population experience. So if you interview 2 or 3 people in the population and a counselor, you get a lot of data. You'll be able to hopefully identify themes that will help you create a story to tell at the symposium. We'll talk more about that as we get along. I know this is a long video, but hopefully some of you are breathing a sigh of relief that this work is going to be streamlined a little bit, and we'll continue to work together to make this a really good project. I'm so excited. As you begin to get your approvals from IRB, you can go ahead and start doing your interviews. All right, good luck. Let me know if you need anything.